I am here with Mariah, and today we will be doing a kind of a creative look at a baseball field, and I'm going to be shooting on a Sony a6300 with the Sigma 16mm f1.4 lens. And I'm only going to do one look today because I'm going to use the last half of the video to show you guys how I edit the pictures you see in this set. So let's get to it.
My life wasn't perfect, yeah, I know that now. When it came crashing down, all I know is that I need you around. When it comes crashing down, all I need is not to feel so much alone. So step inside my zone, baby, you can give me everything I want. Everything I want.
Bring it like
pulling away.
it don't work.
The sad part is, it is pulling.
So step inside my zone, baby, I can give you everything.
Alright, that's
You want the umbrella still?
yeah, but don't like keep it like
On the side.
it's usually like
I know. Maybe I have to like sit on it.
it was doing fine.
I just saw that come. I can like sit on that.
If it's on the ground,
Oh, okay.
It's crazy, but it's true.
I just face like that way. So I just
Like this? I don't
That's not what I
know.
was thinking, but it
Wow.
it was fine. It was fine.
You make my heart
Angles, all about the angles. Oh.
step inside my zone, baby, I can give you everything.
I was about to say, just boss. It's like right in your face.
I know. Let's stay on the chair. Huh? We don't even be. What if I climb? Good. Might be cool.
Okay, well, it's supposed to be.
Alright, America's Next Top Model. Right, this is a challenge. Let's see how high you can climb. Shut up.
Everything will be alright.
Step out to hit. I'm taking my step out to hit. I'm going right straight towards the hole.
Okay, just like I promised earlier, I'm going to take you guys through the entire editing process. These are all the raw pictures that I took. We went through 148 images. So I dialed it down to 10 images. So I just gave a 1 star to all the pictures that I felt were worth editing. Now I might narrow this down even more once I start editing, but this is usually what I do. I narrow it down to about 10 pictures or so. So now that I have my 10 pictures selected and 1 starred in Lightroom, what I'm going to do now is go through the images and make sure that the exposure and everything is where I want it to be. I'm not going to do any editing right now. I'm just making sure the images are where I want. So I'm going to be adjusting things like white balance and exposure and the highlights and shadows just to get an image a nice balanced look. I kind of like this one because of the shadow over her face, but I kind of don't like it because of the shadow over her face. So I really don't know where I'm gonna go with this one, because I don't want it to be even because I like the shadow, but it's a face, so I don't know. We'll figure that one out. I'm just gonna fix the white balance on it, and I'm pretty much leaving it alone. Okay, so now that I've done that, let's open all of these images in Photoshop. Okay, so now I have everything open in Photoshop, and I'm basically gonna go and try to find an image to pretty much figure out what I want to do with the pictures. So I think this is like a good look because it has an element that is in all the pictures. I have the green colors in the background, I have the dirt from the baseball field, she's in it. So I think whatever I do to that picture will pretty much work on all the rest. Now when I edit, it's not like I go through the exact same process every single time. I pretty much take the shoot and play around with it to see what works for that particular shoot. First of all, I'm going to edit all these pictures at the same time. So once I do a step, I'm going to do the same step to all 10 pictures. That's going to save me time, and it's going to make sure that the edits are consistent throughout all of the looks. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go through and duplicate all of the layers by hitting Ctrl J. Okay, now that I've done that, I'm going to go through a color lookup layer and look at my LUTs that I have that I use for videos and see what I can do to the colors. I think my look number 6 is pretty much what I want to go for. So I'm going to turn that down just enough to give it a good starting point. So about right there. So real subtle difference. I don't even know if you'll be able to see this on YouTube, but things like LUTs and presets and stuff, all they do is help you save time. Instead of having to sit here and create this look all over again every time I wanted to use it, I could just save it as a preset or save it as a LUT and go back to it. A LUT or a preset is not something that's gonna just instantly fix your pictures. It just gives you a head start, so you want to do the same thing every time you go to edit a picture. Now that I like that look, I'm going to take this and just drag it over into every image. Now all the pictures have pretty much similar tones to them. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to create a new layer. I'm going to duplicate this look by hitting Control Shift Alt and E, which is going to bring a new layer with all of the adjustments. So if I turn off the LUT layer and all the layers under it, this is just a new copy of everything below it. That way I don't lose anything. If I want to delete this and make this LUT stronger, I can always go back and do that. So that's the benefit of editing in layers. So I'm going to go and do that for all of the images, just like I just did for the LUT layer. Alright, so now that that's done, I'm probably going to take the layer I just made and go to filter and camera raw filter and play with the colors a bit more. I can go to my presets that I have, and I'm kind of feeling this Portrait 160. Of course, the colors is a little off for this shoot, so we can easily fix that. I kind of like the tones of this, but it's a little too much in the midtones and the red, so let's lower that a little bit. And I'm going to adjust the white balance some to combat the greens. And that looks pretty good. It's like a massaging process. You just work it until it gets to where you want it to be. And I think that's a good spot to be at right there. So bam, done that. Now what I'm gonna do is, since I just did that to this picture, I'm gonna go and do it to all the rest. So all I have to do is, since I just did that, I can hit Alt, Control, and F, and it'll apply those same settings to the layer that's for these pictures. Now, just like I did with the lookup table, with the LUT, I'm not gonna leave this layer at full strength. I'm gonna turn it down, and I'm just gonna raise it until it looks pretty decent. Like that's too strong, so I'm gonna bring it back to about right here, 63%. So that means I'm gonna go through and set all the layers to 63%. I think I'm in a good spot. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go and merge the layers together, except for the bottom layer. I still want the original to stay at the bottom. Back to this picture. What I'm going to do is now I'm going to continue to play with the colors and try to dial in the look just a little bit more. Just try to polish it and refine it and get it right where I want it to be. So first thing first, duplicate the layer again. So back to camera raw filter. Let's play with the hues. It's a subtle change, but like I said, it's a massaging process. You just gotta work at it till you get it right where you want to be. If you need to take a break and step away from it, then do that. So let me go ahead and apply this look to everything else. Like I said, Alt, Control, F. Let's close these layers again because I'm happy with that. Alright, now I'm gonna go through and see if any pictures need special attention. Okay, now I'm going to move on to dodging and burning. Now, there's a bunch of ways to do this, and honestly, I don't really dodge the image much. Dodging is when you brighten certain areas, and burning is when you darken certain areas. There's a lot of ways to do this, but what I normally do is I just make a curves layer, and I lower the midtones, and then I invert the mask on the curves layer. So if I take a paintbrush and I paint white on the curve layer with a low flow brush, it just brings in the midtones that is created. So I use this to burn with. So I already have action made for it, and that way I can use the same settings every time by just playing the action. So I'm gonna go and copy this to every layer. Okay, my goal to do with the burning process is just to add more shape and definition to the model. So what I'm going to do is, with a low flow brush and soft edges, I'm just going to pretty much paint over the areas I want darker. Matter of fact, I'm going to go with a lower flow, around 3%. So it's kind of like contouring with makeup. I'm going to darken under here, just so her face could pop more, and the eyebrows. Just bring definition to the areas that are naturally darker than the rest. And since I'm using a curves layer to dodge and burn, I have it set to where it's only going to affect the midtones. So if I go to this highlight right here and I try to paint on it, nothing happens because this is not a midtone. only the midtones are going to be affected. So you see how I just defined the nose right there, but I went too far into her forehead. So all I have to do is paint black over this part, and that goes away. And I can hit some of the hair, and that looks good. So if I turn it on and off, it makes a big difference. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through and do the exact same thing to all of the images. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and paint around the edges of the model just to give her a little more pop against the background. If I lower the midtones on the background, it makes her stand out a bit more. Alright, now that it's done, I'm going to go ahead and merge the layers together. So now we can go and look at before and after. So it's real subtle. It still looks very natural. It doesn't look too far. I didn't do any skin retouching on this. So all this looks pretty good to me. And I think I'm done with Photoshop at this point. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to close all of these images, make sure I save them, and we're going to go back into Lightroom. So since I saved it in Photoshop, Lightroom is automatically going to update with a new copy. So all the ones at the bottom that says 2 are the ones we just edited. So I'm going to select all the new ones, and I'm going to give them 2 stars so I can separate them. So if I hit the 2-star filter, that means all these images are the ones we just edited. So at this point, the first thing I'm going to do now is adjust the crop of the images. I didn't do it at first because I like to always have the full image, because in Lightroom I can always go back and recrop it if I needed to crop it for something else. So I always usually just give everything an Instagram crop, which is a 4:5. So now I can just play with framing and get things where I want them to be. Also, while I'm shooting, I also make sure I leave a little room to crop, because like for this picture, if I would have shot the picture, let's see, if I would have shot the picture like this and then tried to do a 4:5 crop on it, it was gonna cut off her feet, or it's gonna be really tight. Like, this is not what I want. So I made sure to leave a little extra room, because you never know when you might end up cropping or cutting something off. So because I left a little extra room, I can get a nice crop after the 4:5. Since we're in Lightroom, I could do some quick little touch-ups. I kind of don't like this flare on her nose either, so I'm going to open this in Photoshop and move that real quick. Lightroom is automatically going to update the copy, so I'm going to just reduce this one back down to 1 star and keep the new copy. So when people ask me what preset do you use, or can you save that as a preset and send it to me, it's a lot more than that. It's a lot more than just clicking the preset button, because this took 45 minutes in total to edit these 10 pictures. If it was just a preset, it would have been much quicker than this. It's a lot that goes into it, and it's never really the same for every set of images. I pretty much go into it with the same mindset, but everything is different. I can't say exactly what it's going to be or exactly what I'm going to do, because every shoot is different, the environment is different, the colors are different. So you just have to play with it, and eventually you'll get to the point to where you know when it gets there. So I'm gonna go ahead and show you how to save them right quick. Select all, and I hit export, and let's see, I don't really change anything. I leave the quality on 100. I don't resize, I don't sharpen for anything, I don't change a thing. Hit export, it saves it. It's already cropped for Instagram, so I literally just posted just like that. Some people say, how do you get your picture so sharp? As you see, I didn't add any sharpness to these images. I added none of that. I just left it alone and just massaged it a little bit. So I hope this video was helpful. I try to work in how I edited the pictures because a lot of you was asking me on the last video that I did. So if you like this format better than me doing multiple looks in the shoot, let me know. If you want me to mix it up and do a little bit of both, let me know. Besides that, like, comment, subscribe, follow me on Instagram, and I will see you guys next time.